Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. For more info, you can visit our website. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into today's video.
Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew from the Market Mindset. It's a real pleasure to catch up with David O'Brien, who's the president and CEO of Stuhini Exploration. I wanted to speak with you over at VRIC whenever I was running around, and I did see you, and we kind of said a quick hello. But I'm glad that we could get some time after PDAC and after a lot of running around, with all these mining shows. Wanted to catch up because there's been a lot happening with a couple of your different projects. And it's a very unique project as well, as not only for the capital structure that you've got, but this is a real deal kind of thing. So let's start with the Molly, your Ruby Creek project. Tell us where you're at with that.
Well, thanks, Andrew. Hey, it's great to be here. It's really nice to connect with you. We obtained an option on the Ruby Creek project in the end of 2019. And, the Ruby Creek project's in the heart of the Atlas. It's a very big, large project. It's 28,600 hectares. And it's in the heart of the Atlas Gold Camp. So for the first year, we were basically a call option on Molly. We're incubating it. We realized that we knew it's a best-in-class sort of world-class project. And, so we were exploring for gold and silver. And it's very, very underexplored. All the work since the late 1960s in Placer Dome and Mandeville mines and then Adnak mines has all been Molly, where very little work's been done on the gold and silver and tungsten and prospectivity. The batholith that came in, about 72 million years old, is called Surprise Lake batholith, and it was highly enriched. It carried all the gold in the Atlan camp. It carried the molybdenum. It carried the silver. It was very underexplored. And then last year we were sort of caught off guard because molybdenum had a big move up in price. It was, I think in the summer of 20, it was trading at $7-8, and it ran to 14. We got excited. We got on a resource update. We had to update the resource from historical to current. We hired MDA from Nevada. They're world class to do the resources. Stephen Ristercelli in particular. And so we had to do a bit of a segue. And meanwhile, we're still obtaining other projects, and we're value investors. We obtain projects when they're out of favor. We don't. One of my board members wanted me to go to Newfoundland a couple of years ago and get a gold project for $1 million and millions of shares. And I go, why would I want that? We want to be the one staking it for $5,000. We don't want to be going to a hot area, and so many people chase hot areas. You buy stuff when it's cheap and out of favor. That's sort of our philosophy, and we want to obtain all of our projects are road accessible and world class. But the former operator of our molybdenum project was Adnak Molybdenum, and back during the heyday, they had a market cap in excess of $250 million. They had an $800 million credit facility. They upgraded the road, a $22 million road upgrade. The mine was fully under construction and funded when 2008 came along and the price of molybdenum collapsed. And again, we view that as a world-class asset. And we're really excited about molybdenum because, 85% of the world's molybdenum is as a byproduct from these typical calc-alkylic big copper porphyries. Highland Valley is an example of one. Yep. And 15% is pure play. And that's dominated by Freeport, McMoran, and their Climax and Henderson projects in Colorado. But we're in touch with the International Moly Association. We've been in touch with Jeffrey Christian, a CPM group, and they say we need to go to pure play moly. The byproduct projects are waning. We have to go to pure play. And this is really, and during the last cycle, the only project advanced through bankable feasibility, permitting, construction, native approval, right into construction. So we believe it's best in class. There's about 4 big ones out there, and they're being dusted off right now. And back in 2003 to 7, there's a lot of moose pasture promotion too, and I'd like to think the market's beyond that. But we put out a mineral resource estimate, and just within the pit, we're using $15 moly and 45-degree angles. We have a 433 million pounds of molybdenum that's measured and indicated. I believe there's another 45 million inferred. It's also open at depth. All the highest grade holes aren't even in the pit. In particular, the westernmost hole drilled by Adnak bottomed out on 45 meters of 0.23, and 0.23 MO. That's not MOS2. That's right up there, and Climax Henderson numbers, and it's and it's also incredibly shallow. Adnak drilled 69,000 meters and 339 holes. That's an average of 204 meters a hole. So it's extremely shallow porphyry. It's also road accessible. The road upgrade, you can drive a Honda Civic to the deposit. You can drive the biggest mining equipment. So we're pretty excited about that going forward, and we want to preserve that and preserve our structure.
Yeah, just we've got a lot of generalists that watch this. I kind of like to point out what like molybdenum or moly is used for, and it's a lot of that is like the aerospace technology. It's using a lot of steel, like as a composite.
It is, yeah. Moly's mainly a steel alloy. Like steel is iron and carbon, and moly's a key alloy. When you want to lighten steel, like bridges and trusses, that's engineering steel. 39% of molybdenum goes to lightening, and even the Germans recently realized they lighten the car weights by 25%. Again, you have to add moly to lighten steel. Yes. And it's also stainless. 24% of all molybdenum goes to stainless steel. What's interesting is the World Bank recently stated that it actually singled out copper and molybdenum as two of the most important green metals going forward. So we're seeing a lot of new demand. That's why we're so excited. And also, the World Science Council stated that within 75 years, the world's going to run out of molybdenum. There's not enough of it out there. There's very, very few. We have a pure play moly deposit, not a byproduct. They're very rare. It's also a Climax style that's extremely ESG friendly. There's next to no deleterious elements released in the environment. And if you look at it, you go to our deck and you look at a picture of the deposit. It's in a gentle caldera. It's literally you start mining tomorrow. There's no trees to remove. There's no streams. It's a mine builder's dream.
And that whole story, even if someone, I like to translate it for people as well. If someone looks at, say, the infrastructure bill by Biden, the amount of infrastructure the U.S. has to go through, it's just a matter of, take politics aside, sooner or later it's going to have to. And the amount of steel, people may not be sexy that it's infrastructure and it's construction, but those projects are massive. I mean, it takes hundreds of billions of dollars to do anything, and that's why the infrastructure bill is in the trillions. The need for all of these metals is critical, and when you see something that is used to lighten steel, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to see why that's so valuable. And if you could have a steady stream of it, and it isn't far off, where you have to deal with, say, container shipping costs, or we have to move the product to China to be to a mill and then sent back. This can go straight from your project down to working use very quickly.
Absolutely. People should Google it. It's very interesting. But again, if you Google batteries and moly, there's two breakthroughs that they say that using moly graphene anodes on a battery up to 4 times the capacity. Now that's experimental, and we don't ever want to hang our hat on hopes and dreams. Our deck is not full of the green future, because I believe a lot of this is bravado. Sure. We have the goods. It's a world-class resource. It's 250 kilometers. Once you're in Atlan, you're 250 kilometers from the seaport of Skagway. It's all been designed. The nice thing is the feasibility has already been done. So the bulk sample's been done, the metallurgy has been done, a lot of the geotechnical drilling's been done, the condemnation drilling's been done. And when they were doing the condemnation drilling, they encountered intrusion gold, 73 meters of intrusion gold.
Yes.
We recently verified with MDRU that it's sheeted vein structures, and in fact, the electrum sitting in the quartz. And that's a bit of a breakthrough too. I've certainly brought some big advisors on saying they've spent their life in the Atlan Gold Camp. We're in the heart of the Atlan Gold Camp. We have 7 significant placer streams on a project. And again, the batholiths are highly enriched that came in, and there's been no modern exploration done on this. It's amazing that some of the cross-cutting faults and structures, if it was Ontario, it'd be pin-cushioned with drill holes. They haven't even been drilled yet, right? We keep a lot of that private, but we're pretty excited, and we're trying to woo a big senior to come in and help us, because we need help, and it's a big, big project. We're also, I believe, we're the best early stage silver discovery. We have 4 high-grade silver regions within the project. It's a big project. It's almost 2.5 times the size of Vancouver.
Yes.
In particular, Silver Surprise, we have several samples of 16,000, 14,000, over 1% silver. They're all at surface, and we found some parallel, the main vein and some parallel veins, another sub-parallel structure. So we're really excited about that too. There's a lot more than molybdenum up at the camp.
Yeah, and that's why my next question was, it's like you're in the Atlan Gold Camp, so what's the next step? But I mean, for a lot of people, I mean, you've got this core moly, and now they understand what that's critical for, and excellent silver showings, and you're in the Atlan Gold thing. What are some of the things that you guys could possibly do with that? I mean, poking around and whatnot. Can you do sort of spin-offs? Can you start looking? I mean, you've got the permit for the moly. That project, but you've got a lot of land. You've got a lot of land.
Yeah, and the molybdenum, we still have a Mines Act permit in place, and it's 2,500 hectares. The concessions are 28,600 hectares, and we are, there's no guarantees. We're in talks with all kinds of different parties, and we're trying to bring in a world-class player that has the ability to build a 30,000 ton a day, 30 sort of 25, 30-year operation. And so we'd like to break the company up into a pure play moly and then spin off the balance of, the 2,500 hectares would be, to call it, pure moly play, or, I'd probably call it Ruby Creek molybdenum if I had to choose, and then take the other 26,000 hectares, the balance of the 10 years, and plus our Q project in the Yukon, our Revelstoke zinc, and our Manitoba nickel. We have some shares in Brixton and a bit of royalties, and roll those into a spinco. But again, there's a lot to do. Yeah. And these are more difficult market conditions now. So we want to keep we have 26.1 million shares outstanding. We don't have any warrants. We want to keep our share structure very tight. And that's what, I come from the private sector where, it's not a lifestyle. I brought $2,000 a month to CEO. I'm motivated my 2 million shares. That's how you basically, when you run a real business, you put the shareholders' needs ahead of your own needs and just be a big shareholder. We don't do dinners at the keg. In some quarters, we have literally no meals, entertainment. Yeah. The biggest challenge is marketing, because everybody calls you up and tells you they're going to take you to the promised land, but they want everything for it, and it's very challenging in that sense. And I'm not new to business, and I've been in mineral exploration all my life for almost 40 years. But this is my first run out of Pubco, and I'm blessed with an amazing staff, an amazing VPX, amazing team. Mark Lindsay's on our team, and he's Sean Ryan's old partner. Yes. And Mark is a brilliant prospector. He's bringing very interesting prospects. We've spent a lot of money on exploring other properties where we haven't gone ahead and staked them, right? That's part of your DNA, and people criticize us, but property investigations DNA, but we do a lot of that as well. And up in the Yukon, even Barry, my partner, will call me up for to borrow us, pay somebody $200 for the day for Skidoo to go look at some prospects. And I'm like, Barry, you don't need to call me. He goes, yeah, $200 spend. We have to talk to you because we watch every penny, and that's how we've done it.
What are some things that people can use as like a yardstick to go, okay, I'm interested in this company, and what should they do?
Obviously advancing the project forward and finding a partner. I think those are the most likely things. And we don't always announce when we're drilling for strategic reasons, and it can be news anytime. And we're also a strong JV interest in our zinc project and our nickel project as well. And I got an exploration team up in Atlan right now, and we're doing a lot of follow-up work on Silver Surprise. And we know who knows what we're going to do. We like to break the company up, and I think that's a great creation of value to create a pure play moly company and spin everything else off. But again, things have to happen for that to occur. Yes. And there's no guarantees. I don't want to mislead anybody. We don't believe in over promotion or misleading anybody.
Excellent. Well, just out of curiosity too, because we saw Ford come into a lithium project down in Argentina, and their lithium triangle, with a memo of understanding, MOU, directly to the mining company. Do you see that possibly happening? Like, maybe not Ford, but like other industries going, listen, maybe it isn't, a big mining company that comes in, a Rio or someone big. Maybe someone goes, listen, we really need that steel. Maybe we need to venture forward and reshape the way we work.
Absolutely. And I think that what happened to London, the nickel, shows the people aren't going to use these intermediaries anymore. I mean, COMEX is just a paper game. Yeah. So, for example, people say we're going to have X number of million cars by 2035. Where are they going to get the copper? Yeah. Where are they get this? Because we can't even raise money and move projects forward right now. Yeah. So there's a complete disconnect, and we need this stuff. I mean, copper is more important than Starbucks, which trades at 30 times earnings, and the big senior copper. We need it. And meanwhile, the planet's been scoured over 3 times. Yes. So you're going to see direct offtakes. Exactly. Big companies that need molybdenum are going to do direct offtakes or make investments directly in our company. Like Elon Musk is investing directly in the nickel companies because he sees they want to buy direct off a good mine that makes pure, good, clean, high quality nickel. Obviously, usually typically from sulfides, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're in an interesting kind of that shift right now. And we'll see what happens. But I mean, the big hope is that we get some cheerleading, not from, myself, the newsletter writers. I mean, I like to try to do my thing to hopefully influence people to get in here before this event happens, that there has to be some resolution of if they're going to attempt to do any of this green shift, it means mining, and they're going to have to come to terms with it in whatever way they do. But if it's funded correctly and it's done right, you can hit every ESG platform they put in pretty much. It's just, if they shine the spotlight and say, let's get behind this, not only do we want it in our backyard, if we have it in our backyard, we get to have a say in the regulations and the way it's done. If we let it just kind of go the model now, where maybe it gets done somewhere in China and maybe it's somewhere over here under different regulations and different ideas, it's not going to hit ESG, which is another thing they want. So for me, it's kind of like waiting for that kind of shoe to drop. When's that going to happen?
And I want to remind listeners, ours is a Climax style deposit, which is the cleanest type of mining you can do.
Yes.
There's no calcium. It's non-alkylic, and it's one of the cleanest type of mining you can do. There's next to no deleterious elements released in the environment. It's also a lot of people compare to copper. Go, no, don't compare to copper because it floats so easy, and it's just a simple crush and float, very high recovery. The metallurgy has already been done, and it's a very, very simple mining process. It's very, very clean. And moly is, again, it's a metal of the future. It's a green metal of the future. And like the big wind turbines, the gearboxes are high moly concentrations. And we're talking to some experts in Europe, and Dr. Hardy Morbacher was claiming that in Germany and some of these big windmills, they didn't use enough moly in these gearboxes, and they were breaking down after 2 years. Well, just the cranes alone to get back up to reach the gearboxes need a lot of moly.
Yes.
Lightweight steel. And then he says there's no substitute for moly. You cannot get around it. You need it, right?
Yes. So
exciting. That's where the whole new demand curve is forming in the green energy space, and people are forgetting moly. And the thing about a stock or like a product like molybdenum, the stocks went viral back in the days. You want to get in before the story starts when it's cheap. When you read about molybdenum on the front page of the paper, most of my shareholders doing the backstroke in the Philippines, in the Fiji somewhere, right? And that's what people don't realize is that when it becomes mainstream, typically the big money's already made, right?
Yes.
And investors, you don't chase, right? I mean, 6 months ago, people said, my buddies, why are you buying gold stocks? They're not doing well. That's why I'm buying them. And I remember Vancouver real estate in the mid to late 80s, like, who would ever buy in Vancouver? Only a fool would buy it. And it was the worst market, which means it's the best opportunity, right?
Yes.
And that's how you have to think. You don't want to chase. Investors should really be aware. Get in early, get good company, and be patient. And the best deals I've ever had, I've got all kinds of positions that do lots of financings, have sat dormant for a while before they really wake up, right? I've always bought them a little bit early, but the big winners, the big 10 baggers and 20 baggers, you always get in a bit early, right?
Yes. Well, thank you for that message, because that's something people need to hear as well from someone who's been in the market for a long time and also has been run a very tight ship. So we're going to keep a real sharp eye on Stuhini, and certainly like what I hear. And I'm glad that we had a chance to really catch up and talk about each project, because just the moly alone, and we spent a lot of time on that, and we're not taking away from the fact that you've got the zinc, you've got silver showings, you've got gold. There's so much going on here for 25 million shares out. It's incredible, because if you do even split it out, that's even more of a leverage play for someone that's looking.
Sure. And my goal is to jettison the Spinco with a half a share. So, head out of the gates with 13 million, right?
Yeah.
And very tightly held. And, we have me and Barry and Eric Sprott on 40% of the company. Insiders are 43. Another 25% are people I've known for 25, 30 years that respect me. And they've been in their seed rounds or in all of our rounds. They just participate. And we almost run a bit like a private company. And we obviously need more liquidity. And, guys like you and Laura are going to help us get our name out there. We haven't spent a lot of money on marketing. We've mainly working on, advancing our projects. But now it's time to tell our story. And we're going to get a little more on that front as well.
Excellent. Well, David, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Really appreciate it. And
thank you, Andrew.
We're looking forward to seeing what happens. I mean, it was very exciting to be kind of turned on by this moly project that alone. I mean, 22 million on just the roads. I mean, it's hard for people to get their heads wrapped around when they see a valuation of a company to go, wait, how did you get that? So I think maybe another day, just how you got that property.
Yeah, I'd love to tell the story.
We'll tell that story, because that's
very interesting.
That on its own is going to be a fascinating story. So we'll catch up to you and find out that story maybe a little bit in the future here. But thanks so much for your time today.
Anytime. My pleasure, Andrew. And I'm honored to be here with you.